Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Apex Racing TV. Welcome to Suzuka, and welcome to the BSRTC Pro Series. My name is Chaz Draycott, alongside Sam Fitzpatrick with Marco Barbanera on the cameras tonight. It is the final meeting of this year-long season before the showdown, and it's going to be go time for most of these drivers out there tonight. Some guys will be feeling the pressure, and some people are already through to the showdown, so they've got it secured. They just need to be careful tonight to try and get as many points as they can. And obviously, this is the last meeting where the podium sort of showdown points are awarded. So it is a very important meeting for a lot of people, and we'll have a look at the points any second to just see how that lines them up at the moment. Nickel Foggy then, your championship leader as it stands, with Dave Baker in second place and Pete Harrod in third. Wojciech Savidovic is fourth, with Stephen Baxter in fifth place. And then you've got Ross McFarlane, Jamie Rushworth, Jack Sedgwick, Kip Stevens, and Alex Simpson, one of our very own, is rounding out the top 10. And over in the AM category, it is just as close. You're looking at Maciej Sakovic, top of the pile on 4,405 points, with Mark Woodhouse behind him, literally just, well, it's 9 points different. It's just absolutely scary seeing as they've got that many. Russell Laidler is third, with Chris Wood in fourth, and Michael Blake for Simortal is fifth. And don't forget as well, at the end of the evening tonight, we have the large spinning wheel for a free Simortal model, courtesy of Michael Blake. There are raffle tickets that have been bought for this, so the prize draw is tonight. And I'm sure a lot of people are really looking forward to that. I believe we have Mr. Fitzpatrick now with us. Sam, are you there?
Yes, I am, and yeah, good mentioning the championship. It's really important. I always make a big fuss about the championship, but it is genuinely important today. And of course, quite a few drivers on the cusp. It's looking like maybe Simpson should be safe. He's got about 150 points to spare, but Laidler, Woodhouse, Black Hawk could get involved. So too Hall. I think Sakovic is just going to be out to the running in 16th place. But it's really important for those drivers to accumulate plenty of points. And well, we've got Marco Barbanera with us, and of course he's very happy that we've got three wheels today. He's very excited about that, and yeah, we should be excited about the racing as well. So it should be very good around this legendary Suzuka circuit.
Yeah, it should be a really action-packed night. We had really good fun the other night in the BSRTC MX5 series. A lot of accidents, but a lot of really close racing. I mean, I think for the final race of the night, the top 14 drivers were separated by like 6 seconds. It was unbelievable. And on the slippery Japanese tarmac, though, you've got to think about tyres in these Kias because they like a bit of understeer and sort of torque steer, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You can say that again. And around this circuit, it's very front limited, this circuit. You've got a lot of long corners, and it's going to be, a lot about the patience of the drivers through those turns, not overheating those tyres too much. And of course, we've got a few long straights as well, so the slipstream effect going to be very strong. And you can overtake round here. It should be pretty possible, and maybe some opportunities to go side by side as well through a few corners. So yeah, should be very, very interesting. I've never seen a touring car race around this circuit actually, so I'm very intrigued what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it's been. I've seen a couple before. I actually took part in the in season 9 of the BSRTC Pro Series racing for Leo Bodner at this circuit, and yeah, it's feisty, very feisty because it's quite a flowing circuit. So it's difficult that if, say, when you're going up the S's, for example, at the first part of the lap, the so one person gets it wrong, and it backs up a massive train of people because if you get the line wrong in one part of that, it affects you into the next one, and then the next one, and then you've got to defend, and then people are attacking, and it can get very messy in that first part of the lap as we see Kip Stevens now going through the aforementioned section. You can see that it's pretty much one line through there. You've got to get it nailed. And it's actually quite tough to do in this car because you want to get on the throttle as soon as you can and negate that understeer wide, but then you don't really want to be putting too much lock on and letting it wash wide because you've floored it. So especially this part here, actually, through the left-hander, can be a bit of a nightmare. And, well, this key is a bit difficult as we now should have the grid.
Yes, and on the front row for this first race of the evening will be Wojciech Savidovic with Alex Simpson. That's a good qualifying. Well done, Alex, on the front row. Ross McFarlane starts in third, championship leader Nicole Foggy in fourth. Then it's Diego Mello, Colin Cunniff. Good to see him. Seventh, then it's Pete Howard, Adam McNally, and Jack Sedgwick rounding out the top 10.
They're followed by George Simmons in 11th, Stephen Baxter in 12th. Just to mention as well, great qualifying by Adam McNally there. He's the highest AM on the grid at the moment. You've then got Jack McIntyre, Sven Glatzel, Chris Wood, another AM up there as well. Martin Front 16th, Jamie Rushworth 17th, Christian Rose 18th, Mark Woodhouse 19th, and Daniel Brown rounds out your top 20.
Yeah, and then just behind that is Hall, Johnston, Laidler, Malcolm, Wright, Sagbitz, Deemer, Sutton, and then the drivers who didn't set a time were Smolensky, it's a good name, Blackhall, Smith, Stevens, McFadden, Daniels, Blake, Davies, Hadfield, and Graham. That must be grid penalties, I imagine. So hopefully, though a few of those drivers might be making their way up through the field later on in this race. We've just got a couple more drivers to get onto the grid. And yeah, this could be very good. It's always a great sight to see so many cars here at Suzuka. It's an iconic circuit. And yeah, that first lap for Wojciech's going to be absolutely fundamental.
It really is. And hopefully Alex, his teammate, can provide a bit of defence from him. He's got McFarlane and Foggy, another pair of teammates behind him as well. So might be a bit of a 2-on-2 battle. You can also see on the fourth row of the grid there, there's actually Josh Thompson and Pete Harrod of the CQR team. Josh is stepping in for Dave Baker tonight, who unfortunately can't be here, but as we see the red lights then about to come on, we're going to get the evening underway. Savidovic on pole then, let's see what he can do. And the lights are out straight away and they're off. Alex gets a really good launch off the line there. He's going to maybe get alongside his teammate into turn one. Behind them then, McFarlane slots into place with Foggy. The three wide a bit further down. That looked like number 49, that's Jack Sedgwick. As Alex Simpson takes the lead then into turn one, opens up the gap for McFarlane down the inside. It's just blue cars at the front at the moment, and then the one's breaking the symmetry of the Northern Lights car and the Team Mad car as they go up through the S's section then.
Yeah, that was superb there from Savidovic, just to tuck in behind his teammate. Could have been a little bit costly for the Apex drivers there, but instead they just stayed behind, stayed in line. Could cost each other too much time.
Certainly didn't. I'm just having a bit of an issue with my cameras at the moment, it seems.
I am as well, yes.
Yeah. Okay. We've had a bit of a technical issue here. Sorry, Marco's had an issue with iRacing. We apologise. So it becomes Apex Racing Radio for the second time in a week at Suzuka. Simpson still leading the way there. Not many position changes up and down the field then, as we look back to him once again. He's got Wojciech, Savidovic, and the two Northern Lights, and I believe that's the GT Omega team, just getting a bit caught up behind them there as well. But there's Pete Harrod flying down the order and Jamie Rushworth, two CQR cars. That's really bad news for those guys. I was talking to Pete earlier on tonight and saying that he should feel at home on slippy Japanese tarmac, but he's reminded me that's not the case, and unfortunately he's gone flying down the order, Sam.
Yeah, he's actually been hit by Sven Glatzel, unfortunately. There wasn't too much he could do, and Howard off the circuit. It was actually a separate incident for, was it Rushworth as well? So that was a completely separate incident, yeah, both of them losing a lot of positions right there. But we are just coming onto the 130R, I think, approaching, and yeah, Alex Simpson's still doing very well.
Yeah, Savidovic is coming under pressure now from McFarlane. He might actually act as a rear gunner here, and hopefully, with Alex being so high up, and well, you can't get any higher than Lee, can you? But he's hopefully going to be getting some points to get into the showdown here, or secure it a bit more, well, securely, I suppose. As we see Josh Thompson and Cedric having a bit of a ding-dong there, with Adam McNally still the highest AM driver, and he's in 9th place. Great job by Adam so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Maintaining that position. Has been overtaken by Jack Cedric, but with the issue for Pete Howard dropping down from 8th to 25th, he's maintained that place. And yeah, I think you're right about maybe consolidating that championship place. Alex, I think with these points, you may not even have to turn up for races 2 and 3. This would probably be enough. And of course, these drivers also want to accumulate some points for the showdown. So the bonus points, if you finish in the top 3, you get some bonus points. And well, it's so close up there. You will take any points that you can get. And Alex currently 5 tenths ahead, and quite a chasing pack behind still. So yeah, got to keep his eye on the game. But this one looking very strong for him at the moment.
It certainly is. And in 5th place, you've got Diogo Melro as well, who's looking quite racy. He's still where he started. Colin Cunniff is in 6th place as well. He's having a great drive so far. But the top 7 haven't moved. Cedric has gone up from 10th to 8th, and George Simmons has actually got into the top 10 as well. Sven Glatzel has gained 3 places so far, but if you're talking about big movers, there's only one person you tend to speak about in this championship, and that's Ash Sutton. He's gone up 14 positions already, from 28th on the grid, and he's now in 14th place already with just 1.5 laps down. So Another performance of the same kind by Ash Sutton there. Looking down the order though as well, you've got Stuart McFadden going up 10 positions to 22nd, and Adam Hadfield doing a great job so far, going up 11 places. So it's going well for these boys further down. You can see Paul Smith there behind Stuart McFadden with Max Wright and Adam Hadfield as well. Maciej Shakovic is actually 26th. He's one of the only drivers who is actually still where he started. We're on board now with McFarlane going through 130R. It's scary in this car because you do go to turn it in at quite a high speed like you would in any other car, and it just doesn't behave. It just tries to go straight on. You've got to be just really careful. There's someone running wide there at the chicane in the background. I believe that there, yep. He's lost out to Thompson, who's also having a bit of a coming together with Cunniff there. Oh, that was so close down the straight. That was hairy. That Cedric still squeezing it down the inside there. Really aggressive stuff by these guys. Thompson decides to get out of the way, and Cedric's really committed to that. Fantastic racing by these guys. It was like Mansell and Senna at, was it Catalonia? It was Catalonia, wasn't it? The very famous scene of them coming down the straight.
Yeah, and that was two quite feisty drivers not giving up. It was kind of two unstoppable objects there coming together, and in the end it was Jack Cedric just about coming ahead, and yeah, up 3 places now. He's the big gainer, at least in the top 10. Thompson, though, still really close, but they have lost a little bit of time. Colin Cunniff is losing a little bit of time to Diego Melro, 1.4 seconds behind now. So we've kind of got two different packs, but we'll see. I think Cedric, if he can get past Cunniff, he'll be able to catch up to the top 5, which of course is what he'll be looking to see.
Yeah, he certainly will, and by the look of it, Foggy is all over the back of his teammate Ross McFarlane. They're both really quick drivers, as we've seen all season, but I think it might just be the fact that they're trying to battle with Wojciech and just try and get a nose in and just see what they can do. Look how close they sort of come together into that hairpin. That's brilliant stuff. It just shows you how close these drivers know they can get with each other. They've been racing with each other so long, and there's a lot of respect. I mean, these seasons are year long, so they get used to how everyone behaves, and it's just nice to see that they're doing it so cleanly at the moment. But now I've said that, let's just wait till they get to 130R or the chicane this time round, shall we?
Yeah, arguably more clean than certain single-seat series which came here last weekend. But of course, these drivers have been racing against each other for years, so they really do know how each of them will react, and I think they have a tremendous amount of respect. Well, I think 90% of them have a tremendous amount of respect for one another. Ross McFarlane a little bit wide, and is that going to put him under a bit of pressure here from Nicole Foggy? He gets away from it, and he's almost going to the inside, McFarlane. I don't think that was an attempt at an overtake. I think he just missed his braking point slightly. Still under pressure from Foggy. Because, yes, A versus GT Omega out there, and surely McFarlane will go for a move down into turn 1. He's not really got the straight line speed. He's closing 0.21, 0.20. It's not close enough, unfortunately. Very close between Cedric and Cunniff, though, currently. And Cedric just staying ahead, actually making that move then on Cunniff. So up into the top 6, and now we'll wait and see if he can try to catch up to these top 5.
Hopefully he can do, because he's been putting in some really spectacular drives all season as Cedric, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with these guys and whether he can push his way forward and sort of be that little spark that ignites the battle. We just saw in the background as well into the first few corners that Chris Wood was going wide. He's lost 4 places at the moment as Ash Sutton gains another one and goes into 12th there, passing Steve Baxter. Baxter's going to be taking it a little bit easy tonight, just trying to stay out of trouble. He's up there as well in one of the title fights, so he's got a lot to play for, so he doesn't want to get caught up in any muddling. But Ash has got a relatively clean car at the moment, actually. Seems pretty spotless, as he's right in the middle of a big pack of cars there in front of him. Then he's got Glatzel and then Simmons and McNally. Still the highest AM in 9th place. The next AM down, to be fair, is Mark Johnston. Ash Sutton down the inside of Sven Glatzel there. Gives him a little hip and shoulder. Still side by side coming out of the hairpin though. Sven gives him a little nudge back, says they are sunshine. Have some of your own medicine. As they go down into the spoon curve then. Who's going to be later on the brakes? And who's going to have the commitment? Is he going to do a Vettel? Hopefully not. He doesn't.
I must say, I think Ash Sutton's probably got better race car than Sebastian Vettel, and he made that one look very simple. Do you disagree? Honestly, well, that's not even an insult to Seb Vettel either. Ash Sutton is one of the best racers out there. Aggressive, there's no doubts about that, but it's rare that you see him make an all-out mistake. And yeah, that was very efficient. Once again, getting past Sven Glatzel, 17 positions gained. Diego Melro just dropping down behind Ross McFarlane, I was just looking at. And I think they are just side by side, actually, going through the final chicane currently. McFarlane coming back at Melro and just pulling ahead there side by side though down the pit straight.
Yeah, it must have just had a bit of an overlap going into 130R, and then they just kept the battle together. They seem to be on very equal pace down the straight at the moment then. It's going to be last of the late breakers. Is it going to be a Raikkonen on Fisichella for Melro? He commits to the outside, but that's going wide. He's caught the dirt, and yeah, that's going to put him back down to 5th place. But he had a bit of an attempt, and now it's spread that battle out a bit. And this may play into the hands of Jack Sedgwick here, because he may be able to catch up with them.
Yeah, I think so. We're down to 1 second now. That was close to 2 seconds at one point. On that last lap, in fact, Sedgwick was over 1 second faster than McFarlane. These two are kind of losing touch with the drivers ahead, but at the same time, if you're going to go for a move, you've got to make it now, because whilst we do have 10 minutes and 30 to go, we've seen overtakes at a premium so far between these drivers, and at least for Melro, he'll be breaking the draft for McFarlane by slowing him up a little bit. And that's really going to help him. But around this part of the circuit, we don't usually see on iRacing, oddly, too many moves down into this next hairpin. In real life, we see it quite often, but in iRacing, we don't see it too much. It's mainly down into the final chicane where the majority of the overtakes are made, unless, of course, you're Ash Sutton.
Yeah, of course, it's depending on driver skill a lot of the time, but into that hairpin in the Kia, it's a bit difficult because it's quite easy to not so much lock the fronts, but when you're on the attack and you're really slamming onto the fronts, it doesn't want to get turned in when you're on too much lock, and with that hairpin you are really trying to get it turned in as best you can and just not kill the front tyres, so it can be a bit risky to get it done, and then obviously you don't want to cause an incident. We know how famous the quarter panel manoeuvre is in this car. You could see then as well into the spoon curve, Ash was actually turning right on the brakes to stabilise the car. He runs a very loose setup on this thing, and it certainly works for him. We've followed him on board sometimes around Brands Hatch and seen how he drives it there, and it's just frightening. But he's making the places up at the moment, as he always is. A little bit wide through 130R, but it's not going to hurt him too bad. And he's got, right in front of him now, is George Simmons.
Yeah, they've got to be watching that instant limit, of course. 15 instants they are allowed. And you don't really want to get into the final couple of laps with that very close, but that is quite a few instants. And so far, we haven't seen many collisions either. It's mainly those 4Xs, which are quite costly. Nicole Foggy getting really close.
Down the order, sorry. Christian Rose is just dropping like a stone at the moment. Not quite sure what's happened to him. I think he was a bit slow out the chicane. He might have been tagged by someone and then got going again. Down into 25th now is Christian.
He needed a miracle evening if he was going to get through into the showdown, and here was a little bit of contact. Not sure who that was.
I think it was Johnston. He clipped Laidler as well. Not great there. I think as he just came on, he tried to get it going. It was like Max Verstappen on Raikkonen, to be fair.
Sorry.
Over the chicane.
I thought Simpson was just going down the field. Sorry for interrupting.
It's all right. We had a few issues with timing on the MX-5 races the other night as well, where randomly the leader would fly down the order and then pop back up to the top, so hopefully we don't see too much of that tonight. We'll be having little heart attacks, especially when it's one of the Apex cars at the front, as we see Wojciech Savidovic then right under pressure from Nicole Foggy now. McFarlane still backing him up and holding off Diogo Melro. But Sedgwick not so close at the moment, actually. He's the gap has sort of got a bit bigger, seeing as the obviously they've stopped battling as much, I suppose.
I think he's made a mistake on the first sector of this lap. He lost 0.4 of a second, did Jack Sedgwick. So he was getting relatively close, although he's now 2 seconds behind. Remember, that gap was down to about 1.1 seconds at one point. So yeah, maybe he is struggling just to keep up now. They are grouping back together now, this top 5. Here's a proper battle once again. And yeah, it doesn't seem like Cedric's going to be an influence in this. Foggy is just getting closer and closer to the back of Wojciech Savidovic. Is he willing to go for the risk? He doesn't want to pick up any penalties, because that would be the last thing he needs for his showdown. But at the moment, he is ever so close to the driver in second place.
He really is, and obviously newly crowned World GT Championship champion is Nicole Foggy, just about beating Josh Thompson to the title in the final few races of the season. We saw a beautiful move by Josh into turn 1 at the Nürburgring, and hopefully he'll be putting moves in like that tonight. He is up to 7th place at the moment. He's actually, well, I say up to, he started there, so he hasn't gained anything so far, but obviously people around him have gone up and down the order, so he must have made moves at some point. Ash Sutton just dropping down 2 places there, I think. He's swapped with Sven Glatzel, so he must have just been having a bit of a battle with him.
Yeah, he went for a move on George Simmons, I think slightly misjudged it, and he lost out to Glatzer as well, but defended pretty well not to lose another position. So yeah, he's still in 11th place, but yeah, that progress that he was making, absolutely rapid, just seemingly stalling. And maybe a top 10 will be all he'll be aiming for, because Simmons is actually falling a little bit off McNally currently. So yeah, probably top 10 as good as it's going to get for Ash Sutton. Still very much alive here, and I don't know about you, Chaz, but do you think maybe if Foggy could get this move on Wojciech, he could go and chase down Alex and potentially get the race win?
I reckon he could. I reckon he could get close, but as the great Murray Walker says, we're going to quote it once again. Catching up is one thing, and getting past is quite another. And it was actually Murray Walker's 95th birthday yesterday, so happy birthday,
Gosh.
Murray. You've been a legend to the commentary community in the world of motorsport in general. We've had a lot of people commenting on posts about daft things the bloke's said over the years, and we all know he's got some amazing Murrayisms. So I'm just, yeah, it's just fantastic bloke, and he's a legend of the world, isn't he? Now I'm amazed he's not got a knighthood at this point.
I was about to say that he is. It's unbelievable how he hasn't had a knighthood, because he is one of the greatest commentators of all sports, of course, of all time. Certainly, you know, in Britain. So yeah, quite incredible. But hopefully, that would be maybe his 96th birthday present or something. That'd be very deserved.
Certainly would be, and what would be deserved is if Foggy got past Savidovic. You can't say it's not for lack of trying. His teammate backing him up as well. Melrose still there as well. These guys are staying in really close combat at the moment, with Alex just eking out a little bit of a lead. 2/10 quicker than Savidovic that time round. Obviously, Savidovic will be defending a little bit, but it's good pace from Alex so far, though, to be fair. It's not like he's holding these guys up at all. It's just working nicely in their favour. I mean, to be fair, at this stage of the season, I think Foggy and McFarlane might be quite happy to just finish 3rd and 4th. They're going to get a lot of points for it. And obviously, Foggy getting a point for being on the podium into the showdown. He's got some great run out of there, but it's just this section's tricky, and you can see just the different line has meant that he's running wide a bit, and now his teammate might have a chance of it, but it's just the teamwork aspect of this. These guys are just sort of just helping each other out, aren't they? Melrose just wants to get on with it and have a fight.
Yeah, he's just wanting to, you know, get involved, but unfortunately, yeah, the team's very much helping one another. He kind of needs another team mad driver to help him out a little bit. Unfortunately, the next highest team mad driver is Mark Woodhouse in 17th place. So I don't think he's going to get any help anytime soon for Melrose, but yeah, he'll be hoping that maybe he gets a lucky reverse grid or something, and later on can get ahead of these drivers, but he's still doing very well to stick close. Simpson is kind of pulling away at some points, and then it seems to be closing back in again. Earlier on in this lap, he was up to 6/10, down to 3/10 now. And I wonder if he's just reluctant to pull away too much, because right now he's giving his teammate quite a handy, you know, whilst that's very nice of Alex, I'm sure he's, for very selfish reasons, he's thinking currently he's doing a very good job being a bit of a roadblock and to protect that race victory.
Yeah, he's just playing it safe, I think. At the end of the day, you don't need to push yourself too much if you've got a lead, especially with Wojciech helping him out as they take a bit of curb through 130R. It's a very difficult corner to get right, you know. It looks quite simple from out here, but when you're driving it and you're really doing the pace that these guys are doing, it's so difficult to absolutely nail it. The apex comes up at you so quickly, and it can take you by surprise quite easily. We've got, I think, it would be 2 more laps to go, wouldn't you say? What, 2 and 3/4 minutes. There we go. There's how good my maths is.
Yeah, 2 minutes to go, I think. And yeah, down to 4/10 now, the lead. But that should be pretty settled as long as Foggy doesn't go and put one on the inside. He's been ever so close, but it doesn't seem as though it's going to reward anything. You can just see, actually, Jack Sedgwick, finally, he seems to be closing the gap a little bit. He was on that last lap half a second faster. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a little bit too late. And whilst he's dropped Josh Thompson behind by 2 seconds, he's not going to quite get there in time. Not that maybe he'd necessarily make a move once he got there anyway. But yeah, maybe Jack will be stronger later on in the day if he can get some good track position after a little bit of an underwhelming performance. I'm sure you'll see from his standpoint.
Yeah, he's just there or thereabouts, isn't he, at the moment, really? As Alex runs a bit wide. They all run a little bit wide, don't they? You can see, though, Sedgwick isn't really catching that much, to be fair. He's just, I think he's just observing at this point as he stands.
Crossing his fingers and toes and whatnot.
Yeah, he would be at that stage, but Alex has dropped back a little bit to Svidovic now, and the way you've got to think of this really is if Alex does drop back, he doesn't want to hold Svidovic up in case it compromises his battle with the guys behind. But I think as it is, they've not been too aggressive. Foggy and McFarlane have just sort of, well, they've just dealt with it, haven't they? They've not sort of made a massive deal of it by the look of it. I mean, they might be doing when they're inside the cockpit, but Foggy's right up on the back of Svidovic now, and Melrose right up McFarlane's backside. So this could get interesting on the last few laps here. Don't know whether Foggy's going to go for a move. He is showing his nose a little bit, but I don't know if he's going to go for that. I think he'll be wise to, yeah, he just brakes a little bit earlier than Svidovic, so he just jump on board as he does so. You just don't want to hit that AstroTurf in a front-wheel drive car because it can go so wrong. You can have your foot planted and it run wide, but on the other angle of it, you can get a rear wheel on there and it'll spit you out into the wall, as we saw a couple of MX-5s do the other day. Obviously, it's a different story with them being rear-wheel drive, but we come on to the final lap then. Alex Simpson leads the way, Svidovic second, Foggy third, McFarlane fourth, and Melrose fifth. Sedgwick just getting onto the back of this battle now. He's 4/10 behind Diogo Melrose, so the gap has really come down. And this could get pretty fruity in the last few laps. Well, last few sort of corners then.
Yeah, Foggy got as close as he's been going into turn one, but couldn't quite pull alongside. Jack Sedgwick was closing. Also, Josh Thompson just falling down the field slightly behind Colin Cunningham. But yeah, mainly this battle is the one to focus on. And yeah, Foggy got really close into turn one. It seems to be 130R or the Casio Triangle is going to be his best chance, I think, because, well, there's not too many other overtaking points from now to the checker flag. Unfortunately for him, the clock is at 0. And so this will be the final lap of the race. It's as close as it's been amongst the second to sixth currently. Can Foggy maybe go for a surprise attack? I can see that's probably the only chance he's going to have, because I think Svidovic will just stick his car right to the inside everywhere else.
I'm sorry, my microphone didn't make a noise. That was weird. But yeah, Cedric's just gone down the inside of Melrose as well in the background. But yeah, it's about sort of making sure you make the move at the right point, because you don't want to take too much of a risk, and at the same time, you don't want to try and make a move that then, if it backfires, you've got the driver behind you coming through, because these guys are so closely knit at the moment. Foggy really late on the brakes there. You could just see him come into shot just as he made it ground straight away. He's still down the inside as we go into the back straight. Coming up to 130R. We've cut away for a second. One of the cameras isn't working here. I'm not quite sure. As we get back on it then, they're still in line. And I think it might stay that way unless someone makes a mistake here then. Alex Simpson flings it through 130R, his teammate right behind him. And then it's the two Northern Lights GT Omega cars as well. Diogo Melrose, the only driver out of these guys that's where he started on the grid. McFarlane defends the inside line. They flip it over the curves one last time. Sedgwick getting past Melrose in the background. And it's going to be a race win and a 1-2 for Apex. Alex Simpson takes the checkered flag. Beautiful drive from the front. And you can see he's very, very happy about that. He was saying in the week that he wasn't a massive fan of this track, really, with driving the Kia around, so he wasn't sure what to think. And, well, the practice has obviously paid off for him as Foggy finishes third there. He's also going to be happy with that. That's more points for the showdown. And it was just nice, clean racing, wasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't see too many overtakes in the end between those top drivers. It was all a little bit just, I think, slightly cautious. And of course, there's no one really with too much aggro so far amongst these drivers. So just very calm, very a little bit reserved, but yeah, fantastic racing still. And that was incredibly high intensity. One mistake from Alex, just dipping a wheel onto the grass or the fake grass around some points of this circuit. And that could have been curtains for him. He could have been falling right down into 6th place, but instead he was absolutely faultless. He's taking away that crucial race victory, which all but seals that that showdown spot. So he'll be super pleased with that.
Yeah, he will be. It's well deserved, and like you say, it is easy to make a mistake around here. There's so many sections where you're going through fast corners, and it's easy to just dip a wheel onto the grass, and it can really unsettle the car. And especially in something front-wheel drive, it'll just skate off in a straight line, and it'll find a wall somewhere, and that'll be the end of your race. Because the suspension and the other bits on them are, well, it's it's like cracker bread. The suspension on this gear. And Andrew just popped up and said it was one of his favourite tracks. I might have got it confused with something else then, because we were talking about tracks the other night. And I think we might have been, oh, what was it we were on about? I think we were on about Bathurst, actually. I think he wasn't a fan of Bathurst driving it anyway, but it's fun to watch. But there you go then. Race 1 winner, Alex Simpson for Apex. Very popular result at this end. And, well, there's the final order. It's Wojciech Savidovic, second place then, another Apex car. Nickel Foggy is in third with his teammate Ross McFarlane fourth. Diogo Melro fifth. Jack Sedgwick in sixth place, actually finished behind Melro in the end. I think he might have given him that back. Colin Cunniff seventh with Josh Thompson eighth. Adam McNally finishing in ninth with Sven Glatzel rounding out your top 10. Jack McIntyre is 11th with Stephen Baxter 12th, George Simmons 13th, Martin Front 14th, Russell Laidler in 15th, Mark Johnston 16th, Stuart McFadden 17th, and Adam Hadfield is in 18th place. Then you've got Mark Woodhouse. He's in the title hunt as well, I believe, for the AM Championship. Chris Wood rounds out your top 20 with Scott Malcolm 21st, Paul Smith 22nd, Magic Sakovic 23rd. Christian Rose, after that incident we saw earlier on, fell down to 24th. Max Wright is 15th with Daniel Brown 26th. Sorry, I said 15th there. 25th, sorry. Daniel Brown 26th. William Daniels 27th. Rob Green 28th. Pete Harrod 29th. He started quite high up as well. So did Jamie Rushworth. And unfortunately, those guys dropping down the order. Lee Deemer 31st. Michael Hall 32nd. 33rd was Jake Blackhall. Kip Stevens 34th. Michael Blake 35th. And Ash Sutton actually finished 36th in that one, with Nathan Davis 37th and Alex Smolensky bringing up the rear of the field. Not quite sure what happened to Sutton then, but yeah, he obviously had an incident or dropped down the order. In terms of incident points, he only had 9, so he must have had an accident somewhere.
Yeah, I saw it. It was on. Sorry, I didn't see it, but I saw it was on lap 6, I think, lap 7. So it was about midway point in the race, and yeah, must have been involved in a collision or something. Not quite sure. It's getting a little bit pricey in that pack, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, Ash, well, he wasn't going to get into the showdown beforehand, so he won't care too much. And unfortunately, he won't be eligible for the reverse grid, which I think we are about to find out.
Yeah, Marco should have the wheel any moment now.
Yes, first of all, I want to apologize for the problems during this race 1. I will work in the intermission to get everything sorted. I think it has something to do with a new update coming out today. We are on the case, but first, it's the reverse wheel. Should be on your screen, so let's roll it. Full -2.
Okay, so there was no one actually one lap down, and that would mean that Jake Blackhall is on pole position with his teammate Michael Hall beside him. And then it's Lee Deemer, and then 2 more CQR cars of Jamie Rushworth and Pete Harrod. So the CQR guys will be happy with that one. And I'm pretty sure they're going to at least get a win out of that. We'll have to see. And we'll join you in about 10-15 minutes time then, as myself, Sam, and Marco. We'll catch you for race 2 of the evening. Don't go away. Okay then, welcome back to the BSRTC Pro Series, welcome back to Suzuka. I'm Chaz Draycott with Sam Fitzpatrick and Marco Barbonera on the cameras. We've just been sorting out some technical difficulties, so we apologise for missing the start of the race. They have only just got going though. It's currently Michael Hall in the lead with Jake Blackhall and Pete Harrod, his two teammates, second and third. Jamie Rushworth is in 5th place as well, behind Lee Deemer in the Smortle car in 4th. And there's been a bit of an incident there at the bottom of the hill. Just trying to see who that was. I think that was actually Wojciech Savidovic and Nathan Davis in there as well. So 2 Apex cars taken out. Paul Smith has dropped down the order and Adam Hadfield as well. So it's been real issues for those guys, and it's already quite a frantic start to the race, Sam.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. But out in the front, it seems to be quite calm. But yeah, just at the back of that field, yeah, a few issues for those drivers. And of course, in race 1, we saw barely any of that. So it is a little bit unusual. But of course, a lot of fast drivers making their way through the field. And Jamie Rushworth is almost round. And the 60 car is round. That was Lee Deemer, right to the back of the field. He's going to go. That's disappointing for Lee. Was running very high up. But yeah, that is not what he wanted on this opening lap.
No, and he was the highest placed AM driver as well in the race as it stands, so real shame for him there. As we look at then, Michael Hall leading the way from Jake Blackhall, Pete Harrod and Jamie Rushworth. It's 4 CQR cars at the front of the field, and Christian Rose in 5th as well actually, so it's 5 of them. They're going to be absolutely laughing all the way to the bank at this point. There's a nice gap between them all as well, so if Daniel Brown was going to make his way through them, it's going to take him a good few laps to do, and you've got to think at this point that they'll be looking for wins here, at least one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be how they are thinking out there. And a little bit of teamwork potentially. And we've got the 40 car and the 20 car just going off the circuit. That's Sakovic. And was that Max Wright as well, just going off a little bit off the circuit. Also Chris Wood around this packet side by side currently. I think these two are teammates, aren't they? So they don't want to get involved in a collision. And we're just pulling ahead at the moment of Max Wright, but yeah, it's still side by side as they go exit the S's. You don't want to go side by side into the Degners. There's not really an ideal line. The driver on the inside should have the advantage. Let's see if that is the case this time. Just about so, but this is incredible racing currently between the two of them. But eventually, it's Max Wright who just pulls ahead.
Yeah, he just took enough curb there to play it safe, because if you take a bit too much, then you can bounce wide into the car next to you. That's the last thing that you want, really, isn't it? So, good to see the respect between them there as Wood goes wide at the hairpin then. He's got Johnston behind him, and McFadden going around the outside, which is going to become the inside to the spoon curve. I think Johnston's going to try and go with him and follow him on the brakes. He seems to be getting the run at the moment, side by side then. They're about equal on the brakes. Johnston leaves it a little bit down the inside. Beautifully done, Mark Johnston through.
Yeah, very effective there from Johnston. And that was pretty much textbook, although Wood is really close onto the back of me. It's 1/10 of a second between the pair of them. And also McIntyre, he's making his way through the field. Woodhouse, he's still got half a chance at qualifying for the showdown, so we should keep an eye out for him.
Oh.
But I think he's currently in 12th place on a big crash for Sakovic.
Yeah, somehow he got, I think he might have got turned around there, either that or he's clipped a wheel on the grass. Oh, that's Daniels in the wall, properly in the wall as well. And that's a big hit. He's taken the bonnet off it, and well, it takes a lot to get the bonnet off this Kia. Let's have a look then. Oh, Sakovic just gets it wrong on the brakes, and oh, that's a real shame. He's properly ploughed him into the. That was a heck of a shot, actually, to be fair, but yeah, real shame for him to be taken out like that. It looked like Sakovic just got it wrong on the brakes anyway. I don't think it would have been intentional into 130R. But we look back at the leader then. Michael Hall doing the job at the moment as there's a bit of a battle going on further down. This is Simmons and Front in the Northern Lights GC Omega car. Front getting the job done then as they carry on climbing up the S's. Great place to battle these cars around here, actually. They can swap places a lot, as that's McIntyre jumping up and down there with his internet blinking in and out. He was actually racing in a hotel the other day using an Xbox controller on a laptop in the BSR MX-5s, and he was actually doing an alright job. I think he got taken out in 2 incidents, but for the racing that he did, he wasn't too far off the pace, to be fair, but it can be a bit of a steep learning curve when you go from one controller to another, so he's gone backwards in terms of progress on that, but he did alright.
Yeah, I see. I can't remember who it was, but when we used to commentate on the Apex Online Racing League, so I was always a driver, and you know, he was in the top 5 best drivers in the series. It's quite incredible how drivers and controllers can be so competitive. Very admirable, I must say. Although I guess there is a little bit of a limitation with, you know, steering lock and whatnot. But the majority of these drivers certainly on steering wheels, and certainly the way to go about it. I think Stuart McLaren, he's getting close to Max Right. He seems to be. Oh, is he falling down? No, it was Wood who fell down before. Basically, Team Man aren't having a great couple of laps because yeah, now McLaren's going to be attacking driver ahead. So it's not looking great for those guys currently. And yeah, still Michael Hall leading the way. I don't know if we went live just as I was saying how important this race was, whilst I had a piece of garlic bread in my mouth. And Michael Hall and Jake Blackhall is really important for those two guys because they're currently missing out on the showdown. I think they're 14th and 15th or 13th and 14th, something like that. If they can get a couple of good results here, they could be right into the mix. And a driver who is currently in the showdown is Kip Stevens, and he's down in 30th place. So really important for those two drivers to consolidate those positions, as we've almost got 3 wide going into first curve.
Yeah, that's McFadden, Wright and Johnston. All together, Johnston's on the inside line. Max Wright's going to get hung out to dry here. Hopefully Johnston doesn't wash wide into him. And now Max is going to have the inside. Then it's going to be the outside, and then it's going to be the inside again. So we'll see how this works out for him. Johnston clips the curb. He might run wide there, and he has. Oh, right, just over to the curb. And now Chris Wood down the inside. They might make contact. Doesn't look like they have. And Chris Wood, opportunistic, keeps it in the battle, and he gets ahead. And now behind Wright is Baxter, who was saying in race 1 might be taking it a bit easy because he's got a championship to think of as well. But I'm pretty sure he's going to want to get the move done as soon as he can and stick with these boys ahead.
Yeah, 10 positions so far. Steven Baxter didn't have a great first race, and if anything, that's just helped him in this second race. So he should outscore the majority of his championship rivals, although he's not going to get any bonus points. So really, it's not going to profit him too much, unfortunately, from his point of view at least. But still, getting those size performance is in. Could maybe build some momentum going into those crucial showdown races coming up. Of course, we are missing next week with a break, but then it will be back with you in a fortnight's time for the start of the showdown.
And that's when it really gets down to the nitty-gritty. It's going to be a lot of serious racing. A lot of fantastically talented. Oh, as Ash clips the grass. What a save. Beautiful stuff there into the spoon curve. I don't think I've ever seen anyone put opposite lock on that quickly in iRacing. They must have nearly flipped the desk over doing that. But he saved it and he's away. He's been in the States the last few days, actually, driving McLaren, so not to say I'm a little bit jealous, but he's now back behind the wheel of the Kia. I know which one I'd prefer to do, but yeah, as he flings it then into 130R, chasing down Martin front, we look back at your race leader, and it's now Jake Blackhall in the lead with just Michael Hall behind him.
Yes, and this was how it changed then.
I think Hall got a bit too much grass there, and probably, yeah, he got slowed down, didn't he?
Lucky to only get away with 1 position lost, actually. He's still ahead of Pete Howard, but again, that's important for the championship. These points really do matter, and Blackhall and Hall, you know, up against each other for that final spot, and they need to do absolutely anything that they can to achieve that, and it's going to be ever so close at the end of the evening. Hopefully, maybe the organisers can keep up with the points between the races. I certainly can't. Oh, there's contact there. McFadden, great recovery, just about staying ahead of Johnston.
Yeah, that was a really slippery moment there for McFadden. Just a little tiny quarter panel, not too much to turn him all the way around, and you can see how quickly he got on the opposite lock, planted his foot and saved it. So he's defending well from Johnston at the moment, but these CQR guys, they're going to be wanting to get nice and close together and get some pretty screenshots of taking all top 5 places at the moment. I'm sure this broadcast will get watched back by a good couple of them in this bit. But it's their man as well, Stuart McFadden at the moment. It's leading this great train. There's another CQR car further back there. That is Ash Sutton. He's got Johnston, Wood, Wright, Baxter, Malcolm, Sutton, Front and Sedgwick all behind him. And it's almost like when Gilles Villeneuve was defending from loads of cars at... oh, I can't remember the name of the track now. It's just left my head as I started the sentence, so we'll move on quickly from that. But Rob Graham...
Austria?
It was Harama, yes, it was. It was Harama. I think the top 6 were covered from, well, it was about a second and a half, I think it was. Absolutely amazing drive, because I think he had some issue with the car or something. I can't remember what it was, but
it was just crap. I think the car was just absolutely rubbish around the corners. A beast down the straights, left everyone down the straights, but through the corners it was absolute crap. And yeah, just about hung on to the race win.
It sounds like the Kia. It's an
yeah,
absolute
pretty
monster
much.
in a straight line. It's nearly 400 brake horsepower. And at Monza, you can get nearly 170 mile an hour out of this thing, but come to a corner and it just wants to, well, it doesn't want to. That's the simple way of putting it. As we see Max Wright then, and Steve Baxter side by side through the chicane. There's a bit more overtaking going on in the background there as well. That was Sedgwick and front, side by side. They've got Josh Thompson behind them. But it's Rob Graham at the moment, highest placed. I'm in 6th place with Daniel Brown behind him as well. Those two boys doing a fine job as it stands. And that's one of the Automat cars wobbling around like mad. That's Max Wright down the straight with Ash Sutton down the inside. Sutton gets the move done, and he's up 24 places now. Although Max not giving it up. There's tyre smoke in front. I think that was McFadden and Johnston again. These boys seem inseparable.
Yeah, Johnston actually getting ahead of McFadden finally, which he'll be very relieved about. McFadden's done a pretty good job of holding him back for a couple of laps now, and I would not be surprised if Johnston now runs off into the distance, both of them though, gaining 10 and 8 positions respectively. Chris Wood now up next, and he's another one who could get into the showdown. I think he's currently 15th, so he's got a chance still. But it's not looking fantastic for him. He will want a very small reverse grid, and he might just have a second chance because currently it's not looking superb after not a fantastic first race either for Chris Wood. So he needs absolutely everything he can get. But with quick drivers such as Baxter and Sutton right behind him, and Sutton goes for the move on Stephen Baxter. And that is, well, he's not got it done yet. He likes that move, doesn't he? I was saying how it's difficult to overtake at that corner. He's still giving it a go, though.
Yeah, he certainly is. I think Baxter had to get out of the way. Oh, as Ash just takes to the grass a little bit there. I think Baxter had to go over to the right because otherwise he would have hit the back of Chris Wood in that one. And then Sutton just saw the opportunity, got down the inside, and there he goes. He's going to be chasing him really closely now, down towards 130R as Michael Hall has gone back ahead. Jake Blackhall for the lead, down the straight. Probably knowing that he needs to get in the showdown. He's a little bit wide there. Really nice teamwork from these guys. They'll want to get screenshots of this. There you go. All the way up to 130R. You might see Jake's brake lights come on. Oh, he just lifts off the throttle and just lets Mike through. Nice teamwork though. Obviously, team order's not banned in this, and when there's about 9 of you, like there is in CQR, it's probably easy to organise, but you have to think it might be a bit of a pain sometimes. There's Sutton there, beautiful move on Baxter through the chicane, and away he goes. Not that we're biased, but good shout out for Alex Simpson right now. He's up to 19th, gained 14 places so far. He's just behind teammate George Simmons, who is in 18th place, flying down the straight. He's got a nice little battle going on in front of him there. That's front Thompson and Sedgwick. Thompson and Sedgwick, two drivers that never give up, and there's a bit of contact into turn 1. Thompson's around the outside. Simmons trying to go on the inside and make what he can of it. Thompson not giving up. Oh, really, this is just nip and tuck between these guys. We obviously don't want to make too much contact though, because you get a limit of incident points in this, and you could get disqualified.
Oh, Thompson a little bit more of a nudge there. I don't think that'll be a 4x, fortunately, for those guys. It'll just be a 0. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Chaz, in terms of those instant points. 15 of them, of course, these drivers have, and I'm sure they'll use pretty much all of them at their disposal. Thompson's starting to pitch from Simmons, but yeah, you can't really go for a dive into the Degners. Of course, it's ever so close just ahead, and what that does, of course, it just bunches up the entire field, and if you're on your toes, like Josh Thompson always is, you'll be looking certainly to gain a cheap position or two.
Yeah, every single corner's an opportunity for Josh Thompson. He likes a good manoeuvre, and so does Cedric there around the outside. Scott Malcolm, greatly done there. I was just having a quick look at incident points while you mentioned it. 2 cars in the top 5 actually, Christian Rose and Pete Harrod, both on 0 incident points as it stands. The most incident points is actually Jack McIntyre at the moment, down in 31st. He's followed by Magic Sakovic, who's also on 8, but we saw him involved in an incident earlier, so that comes as no surprise. But Chris Wood then, 12th at the moment. Baxter's seemingly getting away from him at the moment, but the guy he's got to think about is Sedgwick, who's absolutely on a mission right now. He's up 14 places to 14th, and he's got Max Wright in his sights as they come to 130R. This is a really impressive train of cars, this. You've got to be very, well, you've just got to have your wits about you, haven't you, not to fall prey to the guy behind you. Oh, one of the Apex cars wide there, that was Simmons. Simpson goes through then into 18th place. That's now his 15th position gained of the race as we come on to lap 9 out of 10 then, I believe. Or are we? No, we have actually started lap 8 already. There we go.
Here's the non-CQR lead for the race between Rob Graham and Daniel Brown round the outside. That is Rob Graham. Sorry, round the outside was Daniel Brown, but Rob Graham hanging on for now. Very good defense there. These two can pretty much go about it because, you know, the drivers all behind really tripping over one another. Sutton's just got past McFadden, by the way. So,
Yeah,
you know what? If Sutton gets a move on it, we could get a top 6 CQR. But you'll have to get a move on with it, and he'll have to hope that these two maybe make a bit of contact because, yeah, we're not too far away from the race finish.
Yeah, certainly not. But he's got Mark Johnston to dispose of. Well, I say dispose of, like he's going to hit him out of the way, but you know what I mean. And then there's not much of a gap really. Well, if you're Ash Sutton, it's probably not much of a gap, but he'll soon get onto the tail of these guys, I think, because they're having a bit of a battle now. They're not necessarily being too aggressive, but they're just sort of slowing each other down with what they're doing. There's a 5-second gap, as you can see then, to the CQR guys ahead. They're pretty safe at the moment. I mean, it's nice in motorsport to get a 1-2. A great little run by Brown there. Doesn't quite get the overlap that he wanted. But it's nice to get a 1-2 in motorsport, but a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is pretty much unheard of. As it's interesting to see though, Graham and Brown are actually fighting for the top AM spot right now, so there's a lot of pride on the line here. Bragging rights as well. Down the inside is Brown. That was beautifully done. I think Graham just went a little bit wide. Sutton and Johnston seem to have made contact in the background. I think I might have called it early. It looks like Brown just gets out of the throttle a little bit to stop the car running wide. He gives Graham lots of room there, which is nice, respectful racing.
Frustrating for the drivers behind, because if they weren't fighting amongst each other, with all of this fighting, they'd definitely be onto the back of these guys by now. But these guys are certainly playing a fantastic show on for us. You can just see Ashley Sutton constantly looking for a way through. Rob going a little bit wider. Contact between Sutton and Johnston. Johnston will go across the circuit, but that'll be a slowdown, and he's going to lose. Well, I fear for him here. He's going to lose potentially 5 positions. I'm not quite sure. Is he full throttle now, Mark Johnston? He's got a bit of a slipstream. He's going to lose 1 place. He may get away with only 2 places lost. No, it's going to be 3. It could be 4 here. I'd say it's just getting worse and worse. Hopefully he can stay. No, and wide and into.
No.
How unlucky was that?
Oh no, that's just an absolute disaster for the CQR guys. That was that couldn't have gone any worse for him. McFadden and Baxter were side by side. McFadden bounced off the curb, I think, and then he just knocked into the side of Baxter. And then as Baxter came around, he clipped the back end of McFadden and then turned him into Sutton, and that was a hefty impact. I think Sutton was actually slowing down to let Johnston back through, and that's just you can't write that. You cannot write that sort of stuff. They'll be absolutely gutted with that. Really gutted.
Absolutely. Top 6 was looking right on the cards, wasn't it? But yeah, unfortunately, not anymore for those drivers. And yeah, you cannot, yeah, that cannot be choreographed, you know. Absolutely incredible scenes through that first corner. This is still going at it though. Brown, has he got the move done finally? That's 6th place for the Scuderia Haggis car. And he's now pulled himself ahead. Rob Graham will try to resist. But yeah, just nearly goes into the back of him there.
That was all sorts of out of shape then, that. Don't know how he held that as Johnston once again goes on the scenic route at the Spoon Curve. He's obviously going to get a good run though onto the back of Cedric. Might not quite get it done down the straight. In the background there's right battling going on. I believe that's Simpson in front and then Simmons and Melrose behind them. Simmons and I think it's Simpson in front there side by side. Cedric across the front of Johnson there. So it's front then, at the front. Runs a bit wide though. And now it's Simmons and Melrose. They're being careful into the chicane. Simpson goes to the head of that field. Well, that pack anyway. Simmons has got to think about defending from Melrose now. And then he's got other drivers behind. Mark Woodhouse in there as well. He's up there in the AM Championship as we come onto the final lap then. And at the moment, it's still 5 CQR cars at the front. They'll be loving this as we see Simmons and Melrose side by side down into turn 1. Melrose and the Team Mad car on the outside. Simmons on the Apex car on the inside, on the Apex, and Martin Front's missed the Apex and he's lost 2 places. Beautiful stuff by Melrose. Down the inside, tries to get it done. Simmons is going to hold the inside line as best he can. Tries to get it in a straight line. And it's done by Melrose. Beautiful move there. Really, really opportunistic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we get maybe a 20-car reverse or something, he's going to be one of the favourites for race day. But a very efficient drive through the field for Diego Melrose. Up 14 places now, not quite as many places gained as Alex Simpson and Jack Sedgwick with 19 each. But still very impressive there from Diego. And I assume he's qualified for the showdown. No, he hasn't, has he? That's a bit disappointing. I don't know. I guess he's just missed a few races, Melvo, because he's been at the front of the racing all through the season. Is that Cedric just going into the back of Baxter just there? They have pretty much now caught up to Graham and Brown. Graham back ahead of Brown. I don't know how that one happened. And this could be a four-way battle going into the Casio Triangle.
It certainly will be. And Graham, obviously, now the head-am driver on the track. But Daniel Brown will want to take that away from him, and this is going to be a great scrap to line. Just keeping it nipping tuck around there. It's such a patient corner, the spoon curve. It's horrible in this car. You're just waiting for it to turn in. You're holding off the throttle and holding off the throttle. Because as soon as you put it on a little bit too early in this Kia, it's just going to wash out wide. And that's going to be the end of your corner. Oh, he catches a bit of grass there, does Dan Brown. He gets flying through there. I'm not sure whether Rob Gray might have got a slowdown or something. Or whether he's just playing it safe to preserve points. I'm not sure. But as we look to the front, look at this lot. Fantastic stuff. CQR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's Hall, Blackhall, Harrod, Rushworth and Rose. They'll be really happy with that. Great result, boys. And that's going to help them out a lot. As Rob Graham really dropping down the order. I'm not quite sure what's happening. Has he run out of fuel? Oh, no! That was front into it.
And disqualified as well.
Woodhouse got caught up there as well. And, oh, that's just... You can't look where he was going there. That was terrible. That's mixed up the order there a bit. Alex Simpson ends up 13th. That's 20 places gained. Same for Sedgwick. He gets 8th place. But really not sure what happened to Graham there. Hopefully... It wasn't that he ran out of fuel, because if you just ran out of fuel and then got taken out at the end, that'd be just, well, it'd be a horrible way to go. Let's have a look then. He stays on the outside, and next thing you know, bang, off you go, son. See you in a bit. And then he got caught by Woodhouse as well. It's still good. Yeah, it is. It's fuel, isn't it? You can hear
definitely. Well, I feel partly sorry as well for Martin Front, because he was on 14 incidents at this point. All of a sudden, that's 18, and into the back of him, and disqualified from the race. Would have been not a bad result there for Martin. He will be eligible though for the reverse grid, so he'll be hoping, of course, for a full wheel later on.
Certainly will be, and there's the dominant force in that race. Then the 5 CQR cars, they're going to love this bit of the broadcast, aren't they? Michael Hall taking your race win then, in the number 4 car from his teammate Jake Blackhall. In the number 11 car, Jake not suffering from any bad connection or any sort of net code tonight, which is nice for him. And then in 3rd place was Pete Harrod and Jamie Rushworth in 4th, where he started. Christian Rose gained 5 places and finished 5th as well. So brilliant performance by those guys. They just kept it nice and tidy at the front. And there's the rest of your order if you'd like to do the honours, Sam.
Yeah, in 6th position, Daniel Brown, and that was a really good defensive drive in the end from Brown to hang on there. Then it was Stephen Baxter. Jack Cedric had a great recovery drive from 28th on the grid. Then it was Johnston, right. Then Chris Wood in 11th. Scott Malcolm, he didn't talk about Malcolm. Well done to him in 12th place. I didn't even see his name on there. He was just getting on with his business. Didn't get too many incidents up there. So very well done to him. Alex Simpson, the big gainer up there, up 20 positions to 13th. And then it's Diego Mello, George Simmons, Ross McFarlane, Mark Woodhouse, Rusty Laidler. His chance of the showdown diminishing with that result, unfortunately, with Josh Thompson in 19th. And Nicole Foggy, a little bit of a quiet race for him in 20th place. Then it was Adam McKnight, Michael Blake, Sven Glatz, Maciej Sakovic, Kip Stevens, again, his showdown chances taking a bit of a hit with that one. He should still be in the top 12, I think, going into the final race. But yeah, he needs a decent result there to hang on to it. Then there's Paul Smith, Lee Deemer, Robert Graham, who fell back to the back due to that fuel issue at the end. Martin Front will be the last eligible driver for the reverse grid. And then it was Sutton, McFadden, Davies, Daniels, Zawidowicz, and Cunniff.
Lost quite a few big names in that one as well. That incident between McFadden and Sutton, though, that was a real shame. That, like we said, you couldn't make it up. But obviously, fortune for CQR at the other end of the field. Then Michael Hall, I'm not sure how many wins he's had this season, but I think they've been a bit few and far between for Michael this time round. He used to be a very dominant force in the Kia Club Series. He was often on pole and winning races in that, but he, yeah, I don't think it's been going his way a lot recently, but I know he had a few issues in the World GT Championship as well when he was in that. Just getting caught up with incidents. But as Christian's just said in the YouTube chat, why can't every race be like that? And I'm sure they'll be thinking that. Hopefully they can keep it tidy for the next race of the night. And on that subject, we should have a spinny wheel with Mr. Marco Barbanera.
Yes, apologies for missing the race start. I think the rest of the race went well, so hopefully, fingers crossed, the troubles are behind us for tonight. Let's go back to the matter at hand, and here comes the wheel on your screen, so let's roll it. It is full -2.
Okay, so that would mean then that Lee Deemer is on pole position with Paul Smith, and importantly for the showdown, Kip Stevens is third with Maciej Sakovic fourth, and Jack McIntyre is going to be fifth. So some good names up there that are going to be in the title fights, and they'll be hoping they can make the most of these high up grid positions and hopefully get as many points as they can, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just what Stevens wanted, because it's been a bit of an underwhelming day for him so far. He just needed that, and it's going to come down right to the wire. Unfortunately, I don't know. We won't be able to say decisively at the end of this. Of course, we've also got penalties as well to decide as well. But of course, it's looking really close at the moment. By my calculations, at least, I think there's about 3 drivers certainly still in with a chance of finishing in that top 12. So, yeah, will be a fundamental third race of the evening.
It certainly will be, and we will join you back on Apex Racing TV in about 10-15 minutes' time. Don't go away. Good evening, welcome to the third and final race of the evening. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and to Suzuka. My name is Chaz Draycott and I'm alongside Sam Fitzpatrick with Marco Barbanera on the cameras. Sam, we're here for the third and final race tonight. It's going to be a very important one for some of the guys towards the front of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, the pole sitter leading up. He's not in the fight for the showdown. Paul Smith also isn't in there, but Kip Stevens is. He was looking pretty secure earlier on. A couple of poor results, and his place has been put in a bit of jeopardy. So hopefully he'll do well in this one. Maciej Sakovic, his chance seems to be over in fourth. Then it's Jack McIntyre fifth, Adam Hadfield, Sven Glatzel, Michael Blake, Adam McKnight, and Nico Foggy, championship leader, rounding out the top 10. I guess the rest of the field will go through for you now, but of course, it's the final race of the normal season. So, yeah, goodbye, normal season, and hello, showdown.
Yeah, hopefully they'll make it an exciting one. You can see just how many cars there are then. The red lights are coming on with Lee Deemer on pole with Paul Smith on the left. Let's see how they get on. And they're away. Lots of wheel spin, lots of tyre smoke, and the whole field just pans through then into the middle. Oh, a bit of contact there between Sven Glatzel and Adam Hadfield as they both go for the same bit of track. Hadfield has got, Glatzel's got a brilliant getaway as Paul Smith inherits the lead then into turn one. Beautifully done. I'm sure he'll be... oh, there's a car off in the background. That is... Oh, I'm just trying to see who it was. It's gone off. It's Christian Rose, and Christian was just saying in the chat before, I wish every race was like that last one. He's kind of jinxed himself there, but there's your race leader, number 28, Paul Smith, the Team Mad, getting away with it at the moment, and he's going to hope that Deemer, Glatzel, Hadfield and McIntyre all carry on battling behind because he wants to get as much of a lead as possible.
Absolutely, and also Michael Blake, hopefully we'll have a word with him later on, but he's fallen right to the back of the field, I think, with an issue up there, and he was running quite high up initially. I think he was starting in the top 8, but side by side into the Degners here. This could be very problematic. Just about making the move there is Sven Glatzel, and you can see a race victory potentially, and he does make it eventually. That was superb around the outside of Lee Deemer there. Not an easy thing to do. Adam Hadfield, well, he's going to have the inside here, and who's that just getting involved just behind? Is that Lee Deemer? I think going through.
McIntyre, that one.
McIntyre, apologies. Deemer falling down, isn't he? And still side by side between these guys going into Spoon, but not a good first lap whatsoever for Lee.
No, not really. He's dropped down a few places, but he'll be happy to still be there or thereabouts. He obviously made quite a hefty bit of contact with Sven Glatzel, so both of them would be grateful they've not gone off. And, well, I say that, and Deemer is off as McIntyre gets through. He's still in 5th place, so is Lee Deemer, so he's going to just want to... bit of damage limitation in this race, I think. He's going to just try and stay up there as best he can. He's got Kip Stevens and Maciej Sakovic behind him. Adam McNally been having a good race, well, so a good night so far. He started in 9th position and finished there in race 1. Nickel Foggy behind him, 9th overall in this race. Then Josh Thompson rounding out your top 10. He has Russell Laidler behind him, and then Ross McFarlane, Adam Simpson and George Simmons together on track once again, like they were in the last race. That's Foggy down the inside. Oh, there's contact there. That's McNally, and that was Thompson as well. Oh, Simpson hits Laidler, gets back out of it. Great save by Russell Laidler. Oh, Simpson nearly getting turned by McFarlane on his right-hand side as well there. George Simmons benefits from that. But in the lead then, Paul Smith then defending from Sven Glatzel, coming down the straight into turn 1. Sven's going to go around the outside, and I think he's going to get it done.
Yep, that's yeah, very efficient there from Smith. Almost a little bit of contact just coming out of the corner, and yeah, Glatzel then into the race lead. So that was very quick, 7th to 1st within a lap and a bit, and that's maybe being able to pull away now. Sven Glatzel, Ross McFarlane just falling down the field. Has got an issue here. Yes, he's got a slow down clearly, and Ross McFarlane that's really going to cost him on this opening lap.
Heard a hefty bit of contact there in the back of the shot. Not quite sure who it was, but there was a car off at the first 2 corners as well. Someone going wide. That car doesn't look like it's handling very well actually for Ross McFarlane. I think he might just have handling issues overall. There's a 3 wide going through there. Nearly contact between one of the Auto McNock Hill cars and one of the CQR cars. That's number... Oh, didn't quite see who that was there. I think it's Pete Harrod actually chasing Max Wright. It is. Oh, in the wall in the background. That's one of the other Auto McNock Hill cars. Chucked completely out of the way. I think that was Rob Graham actually getting launched off the track there, and it certainly was. Rob had a really good race in the second race of the night, but unfortunately it's not quite come together for him here. Let's see what happened. Into the Degners, and oh, there's a bit of netcode there. You could clearly see a good bit of space between those 2 cars. Not really sure who it was that caught him though. I think it was it might have been Daniel Brown actually. Apologies if it wasn't Daniel. As we see Paul Smith then and Adam Hadfield. These guys used to both be part of the club series in different ways. Hadfield was a rapid driver back then, still is now, really committed through 130R around the outside. Just runs onto the Astro a little bit. Paul's not giving him most of room. A little bit of a tap and they managed to save it. McIntyre getting involved as well. Then Hadfield down the inside. Oh, it was a bit cheeky there. Not sure whether he meant to do that or be aggressive, but he was known for causing the odd incident in the club series with Adam Hadfield. So if you're Paul Smith right now, you might be a little bit nervous at this, but Paul keeping it down the inside, then all the way down the straight. The slipstream is going to be Hadfield's best friend now, as McIntyre is going to go with him.
Side by side into turn 1, round the outside goes Adam Hadfield. Can he keep it on the tarmac? He got a little bit on the AstroTurf, and actually he might still be able to pull it off because he's going to have the inside here. They make contact, and it was always going to happen across the grass and maybe into Jack McIntyre there. McIntyre was very fortunate. Smith is going to get a slowdown surely, so I think McIntyre's going to be up into 2nd place any moment now. But that was always going to happen. They came together with kind of half instance a couple of times already, and I wouldn't bet against them coming together once again.
Yeah, it was really hard racing there. I'm not sure who was to blame. Looked like Paul might have come over a little bit. Adam didn't really have anywhere to go, but you've got to be just cautious when you're racing this closely. I mean, there's so many cars that could take advantage of it. You just need to watch it for the rest of the race, I think. They're on only 2 incident points each, though, so not a massive amount of contact, obviously. They didn't even get 4x incident points out of that. And we look back then from Smith, you can see just the body language of Hadfield's car has just seemed very aggressive as he attacks. Look at this field here. We've got McNally, Thompson, Foggy, Simpson, Laidler, Simmons and Sedgwick, and that's only half of them. And then in there as well, you've got Melrose trying to go around the outside of Sedgwick. You've got McNally at the front with Thompson. Oh, Melrose out of shape in the background. Not sure whether he saved it. He did somehow. That's an absolutely amazing save. It was just properly out of shape. I think he just dipped a wheel onto the grass. We'll have a look now. Nearly 3 wide there. Look at that. You don't want to get involved in that, do you?
Absolutely not. And, oh, that's terrifying when you just put a wheel on the car. That is some save. Lots of luck as well, not to make contact with someone else. But that was a good effort, to be fair, from Melrose. Smith is still going at it. And Smith, having to defend right now from Hadfield. These two don't really care about the race. They just care about beating one another. Hadfield, well, full credit there to Adam Hadfield. He didn't make contact.
Foggy.
Nicole Foggy is in the wall, though.
That's championship leader Nickel Foggy then. Very strange incident. I'm not sure whether he might have got on the grass to avoid someone or whether he's made contact.
Well, that's a slowdown already, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Oh,
fed up, isn't
oh,
it?
that looks like a brake failure. I don't know what that was. It just didn't slow down. You could hear him get off the throttle, but it just did not slow down. Hopefully we'll find out what happened there then. Real shame for Nickel Foggy. As we look now at, that's Simpson and Thompson battling away then. Josh, of course, standing in for Dave Baker tonight, who can't race with us this evening. I'm sure he'll be watching with anticipation though to see how his boys get on. He'll be happy with that second race result as Cedric there gets contact with Ash Sutton. They've got Russell Laidler behind as well. Cedric and Sutton still rubbing as they go up the hill side by side then. Still rubbing as they go up the hill. They've not separated each other yet. As Glatzel running away with this at the moment then. He's doing a fine job out front. Sutton hopping over the curbs. I don't know whether there was more contact or not there. Still together. It's just not giving up either of these boys. I think Glatzel, not Glatzel, sorry, yeah, Cedric gets into Laidler then. Melrose behind there as well. Let's just see how they bunch up. Oh, that was the number 20 car into Melrose, and then Woodhouse into that, Wood into Woodhouse. Just a big concertina there, that was the word I was looking for. And now all these cars, little dents on the front, little dents on the back. But this battle then still going on. Hadfield and Smith. A red mist has probably descended for both of them at the moment. Down the inside, oh. This is just filled with determined racers and last race of the usual season. And they're putting on a right good show for us.
Absolutely, and Paul is a steely opponent, certainly. And he absolutely, well, yeah, he will absolutely be loving this type of racing at least. However, I feel as though the red mist may come over him very soon because he is being very feisty currently, trying to hold on to that podium place, which would be a very good result for him. And you can just see the amount of cars right behind these guys. Just a little bit of a word though for Rusty Laidler in 13th place. Going into this race, he was 13th in the championship. Remember, top 12 get through. So we haven't really talked about him too much. He's still within a chance of getting within the showdown. But losing a position to Diego Melro, as he's about to do so, isn't going to help him too much with his championship rivals also doing quite well up there. So, yeah, not great for Rusty Laidler currently, but he just needs to try to hang on to as many positions as he can. Yeah,
it's a case of damage limitation for a lot of these guys tonight, I think. It can be very, you can get very mixed results from these evenings. One little incident or one manoeuvre that you just judge too badly, and it can end your night, really. It can put you down the order and then obviously not get a reverse grid or not be fortunate with that, and then you could get caught with someone that you would normally wouldn't in the next race, and it can just change so quickly. I mean, as you see on the left though, nothing's changing with Ash Sutton. 23 places gained up to 9th. You can just see him there down the inside of Maciej Sakovic, Club Series Season 1 champion. And yeah, Sutton on a charge then into the top 10, and we're only about halfway through the race, so you've got to wonder whether he can actually go all the way in this one. He's got Alex Simpson and Josh Thompson ahead of him, and they're well, they're not easy to get by, as we all know. Well, I say that though, and he's just gone down the inside of Simpson in the corner while I was looking at the timing screen. So getting feisty side by side though, really close together as they get down to Spoon Curve. Who's your money on here then, Sam?
I think Sutton's well, he's got the best line has been. Certainly a podium. I would be surprised if he didn't get a podium from this position. He's got quite a few laps to, and look at that. He's just going for a move into every single corner. That's not going to help his momentum though. Max Simpson, well, he might look to the inside. I think Simpson, if anything, will probably just stick behind because he'll realise that maybe he can just follow through Ash, and that could really help him up through the order himself. Of course, Ash, I don't think took part in qualifying. Who knows what his race one would have been when Simpson was winning. Almost three wide here. What's Sutton going to do? He's going to try to go down the inside of the pair of them, and it might just work out for him around the outside through the second part, and he gets the move done, and Simpson following through.
Absolutely amazing move by Sutton. That Stevens got massively out of shape coming through 130R, nearly into the side of, I'm not quite sure who it was. I think it was Dima in the Simortal car. Ash saw his moment, went to go for the middle, pulled back from it, and then just went down the inside as Dima, well, doing the opposites, going on the inside, going a bit wide there. Melrose getting a little bit out of shape also, but Ash just stuck it down the inside and just got it done. Alex Simpson did a great job following him through as well. I was here, this battle's still going on. Paul Smith and Adam Hadfield absolutely inseparable in this race. 3 incident points each then. Still going at it, hammer and tongs, and it's just never ending, is it? But they've got to worry about Thompson now behind them. And then, of course, the absolutely on fire Ash Sutton.
Yeah, they've been quite fortunate so far with a couple of drivers similar to their pace just behind them. However, now they've got Thompson, Sutton, Simpson and Cedric just behind. So I'm not sure if they're going to hang on to this for too much longer, unfortunately. Smith, look at that. He's defending into the second Degner out there. It's quite incredible. He's got the ideal line though, and you're just waiting to see what Josh Thompson will do. Hadfield pulls ahead. I thought Smith was going to be able to keep himself around the outside, and he almost just shoves Hadfield off there. To be fair, didn't shove him right off the circuit, and Hadfield almost defending maybe a little bit dangerously against Sutton, who's got ahead of Thompson now. And Sutton, well, at this podium is looking so possible for him right now. He's just got to execute 2 more overtakes, and he's got 1 done, I think, right here.
Nearly, yeah, a bit of a hip and shoulder. Well, Paul Smith coming out that hairpin, then it was, well, just in case of are there any questions, I'll have that and I'll see you in a bit. As Ash Sutton gets through, then Thompson's going to try and get past Hadfield as well. I heard a bit of a tyre screech in the background there, not sure whether someone made more contact. As Lee Deemer is going down the order, unfortunately, he's dropping down the timing screens. He's 21st, now 22nd, still dropping down. Not quite sure what's happened to Lee then, as Hadfield, oh, Stevens really wide as well into 130.
Oh,
down
the
inside. Oh, he does. Somehow Smith runs wide just to allow him the space. There's a bit of net code between Thompson and Hadfield there. There seems to be quite a bit of space between the cars, and Hadfield well, out of the way, and Smith not defending as hard this time, just keeping the momentum with a nice smooth run to the outside. And Sutton is going to be up to 3rd place surely into turn 1, but well, Smith's not backing out, letting him have it. Brakes a little bit earlier, and yeah, he just slots into place then as
Hadfield off.
Yep, Hadfield's gone flying round there. Comes back on then just behind Diogo Melro, but there's another car in trouble as well. Stephen Baxter, quite a bit of damage to the front of that car, not sure what's happened to him. And Josh Thompson then, 5th place, defending from Cedric. These two very closely matched, I'd say. Really quick drivers, both with quite flamboyant driving styles. And they've got Alex Simpson behind as well, and then Kip Stevens. So this is a really good battle here with a lot of talent involved, and they're going at it, aren't they, in this last race of the regular season.
Yeah, Cedric got ahead of Simpson on that last lap. And of course, Stevens in 8th place. I think that would be enough to qualify for the showdown. He was, I think, like 10th or something going into this round. So he should be okay with that position, Kip Stevens. He's not got too much pressure to necessarily pick up any more places. Jack Cedric right there. Are we going to see any moves into the hairpin this time? A couple of drivers are having a go at it, and actually Cedric going very wide, Simpson trying to get involved. Thompson and Smith might be side by side here, and here they are. Smith has already lost the position, of course, to Sutton. He realised that Sutton was faster than him, didn't fight too much. Now, does he feel as though he needs to fight Josh Thompson here? Because maybe he could keep Thompson behind for the rest of this race. Thompson is very wide and has done a very good job of keeping the momentum up despite going onto that artificial grass. Smith tries to push him out, and Smith is into the wall.
Oh, that's a big
valiant defence for 7 laps, but it comes to an end.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he'll be saying on his stream right now, but I don't know who that was on, really. Cedric seemed to be down the inside for quite a bit. It didn't have a massive amount of overlap, but he was quite lucky in one way to not collect anyone as he came back on. He conveniently slipped between this battle and the ones behind, so it could have been a lot worse, but I mean, well, he's out of the race, so I don't think it could have got much worse for Paul. Real shame there, because he was doing so well and having a few knocks and bangs with a couple of these drivers and kept it on the circuit. As we go on to lap 8 out of 10 then, this one and 2 more to go. Side by side with Cedric and Thompson down the straight. Cedric edging ahead, then he's got the better run. He's going to want to go chasing after Ash Sutton, isn't he?
It's easier said than done, though, between those two. And you got to remember that Sutton started 9 places? My maths is not very good. So he started in 32nd then. I'm not even going to try to work this out. 10 places between the two of them. So Sutton started 10 places below, and he's now 1 place ahead. So he's had to work for that, and I doubt Cedric's going to be able to close him in by the end of this race. I think the big question now is between Thompson and Simpson. Important between those two, because Simpson so far kind of just stuck behind Thompson. Thompson just glitching out a little bit there. That might just be what Simpson needs to perhaps go for an overtake.
Yeah, it can sort of build your confidence a bit when someone's having issues like that, because you know that they might notice it as well, and sometimes people do slow down for that because they don't want to obviously ruin other people's races, but at the same time it can ruin your confidence. Down the inside then, Simpson beautiful on the brakes, nicely done, got it well stopped and kept it on the racing line, and he's ahead of Thompson in the blink of an eye. Great stuff.
Yeah, and Thompson's now got to be careful from Kip Stevens as well. Of course, as I said before, Kip Stevens, well, he doesn't want to retire from this race, but this would be a decent result for him. Melroy looking to the inside, and Melroy will go down the inside. That was very nicely done. Stevens is going to lose another position. Is that Hadfield? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Remember, Hadfield was fighting for a podium not too long ago. He'll be quite pleased, though, with 8th place currently, and Stevens is almost off the circuit, heading down this straight.
Yeah, great opportunistic stuff by Hadfield there. Beautiful move by Melroy on the brakes. That was fantastically executed. As we look at Russell Laidlaw then in 12th place at the moment, the only driver in the top 20, as you can see on the left, that is currently where he started in the race, despite people going even as much as 29 places around him, 12 places down. Shame for Michael Blake to drop down that far at the moment, but he's still in the top 20, so I'm sure he'll be quite happy with that. We have, of course, got the prize draw tonight for the Immortal model, which Michael will hopefully be joining us for after these races. As we look at Josh Thompson then as 6th now, he's having to defend from Diogo Melro, and the 2-time Club Series champion goes down the inside and seems to make it easy work. I think Josh might be just playing it safe here. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, it's not like Josh Thompson to play it safe, I must say. I think if anything, he might even have an issue up there. You can see Michael Blake going for a move, although he's down 11 places from his start. I think he got a bit of a poor start, but yeah, staying ahead of Colin Cunningham, who's actually up 17 places. Well done to Colin out there. Of course, yeah, we should get an interview with Michael later on. And Mark Woodhouse, yeah, falling down the field. He's just behind Max Wright currently. Woodhouse was in with a chance of qualifying for the showdown. I don't think that's going to happen for him, unfortunately, today. It must be agonising to do. How many rounds is it? Well, it must be like 25, 30 rounds so far this season, and you miss out by a handful of positions. It must be absolutely painful. But yeah, that's the rub of the green, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly is. And with a series like this as well, it's actually very close to the British Touring Car Championship in the way that literally any race can be anyone's. When you've got these reverse grids, it's so closely matched that you could go into a race meeting and not know who's going to put it on pole. You don't know who's going to win race 1. And then there's obviously the unknown factor of the reverse grids. Thompson gets a nudge off Hadfield there. But the reverse grids are the great equaliser in all this. And they provide close racing. Yeah, they sometimes provide us with a lot of accidents because obviously there's a big mixture of talent going through the field. But I think Thompson playing it safe really here because Hadfield's getting straight past him. I don't know whether Thompson's actually just got a bit of damage down the straights because that's where he tends to be losing all of his pace. So he sticks behind Hadfield now then. He's only down to 8th though, so still in the top 10 as we come on to the final lap of the race then. Sven Glatzel way out front. And then he's got Jack McIntyre. A big gap back to him as well. And then a big gap back to Sutton as well. So it's going well for these boys at the front as we see Wojciech Savidovic and Pete Harrod having a battle through the last chicane. Wojciech up 23 places now. He's having a great drive tonight. Real champions drive then, the defending title holder. As it's Thompson and Hadfield once again down the straight for the final time then. Into turn 1. Hadfield seemed to go a little bit hot into there though. Thompson trying to hook the inside line, but Hadfield's got it stopped. He's done a fair job of that, to be honest. He's just missed the apexes slightly, but he's carried quite a bit of momentum, hasn't he?
Yeah, that was really nicely done there from Adam. Seems to have really calmed down after earlier on when it got a little bit too feisty with Paul Smith, and they really compromised one another's races. Much better from him now. Thompson has had pedal issues in the past, where he's only been able to apply like 80% throttle or something. So it could be something to do with that if he is struggling down these straights. And well, if he can get a top 10, that wouldn't be too bad for Josh. Isn't fighting in any championships, and well, I of course no disrespect or anything, but I imagine he won't really care if he finishes in 8th or 10th. He'll just be trying to have a bit of fun out there and just try to have some good battles in this final half lap.
Yeah, he certainly will be doing, and to be fair, he's done a massive job with the World GT Championship recently, coming runner-up in that series, and this will be a bit of a way for him to let his hair down, but still enjoy some exciting racing. There's always close battling with this championship, and it's what these guys want. It's what everyone wants. Let's face it, we all want really close, exciting racing all the time. And for Josh, this will just be an absolute dream. I mean, he's obviously having a bit of an issue at the moment with his pace, but like you say, he won't care. He's 8th in the BSRTC Pro Series at the moment, so why would you care? He's having a ball of a ball. Well, he's having a ball. Let's just put it that way. I was going to add more words onto that then, but that just doesn't work. Sutton then is 3rd with Sedgwick in 4th, and Simpson just chasing him down towards the end. But as far as I know then, it's going to be Sven Glatzel to take the final race win of the evening. Fantastic result from Sven, just drove away with it. He's going to have nearly a 5-second lead over the other guys. Really well-deserved win. Well done to Sven Glatzel there. Jack McIntyre finishes second, and this is the battle for third then. Sutton comes across the line. Brilliant podium gain in 29 places there. Cedric gained 18 and Alex Simpson gained 12. Diogo Melro in the background having a bit of a celebration wiggle there. Finished 6th with 10 places gained. Adam Hadfield, the top AM driver, and that really ruthless drive by Adam Hadfield. As the CQR guys come across the line together, that's Laidler, Harrod, Rushworth and Hall. Those guys once again inseparable. Really close there between, I think that was Cunniff and Malcolm, was it? Who went across the line. There's Mark Woodhouse. He's up there in the AM standings. Obviously not 100% sure where he finished in that one in terms of his championship, as that's McFarlane with a couple of issues there. That car not behaving itself. Look at the amount of lock he's got to put on to get it round. That's not ideal, but he's got it across the line all the same, and I'm sure that thing's going to have an accident. There's Max Wright with issues, to say the least. Yeah, that car doesn't want to behave itself either, does it? But there's your race winner then. Sven Glatzel. Fantastic result from him there. He started 7th on the grid, and we saw that he got a great start at the beginning. And yeah, he made contact with Adam Hadfield down the straight, and luckily he got away with that, and he converted it into a win. So brilliant drive by Sven.
Yeah, that was just he won it on the first lap, didn't he? And after that, as long as he didn't make a mistake, it was always going to be his race to win. And after, well, I think races 1 and 2 went decent for Sven, so not bad whatsoever across the day. But that's certainly by far his best result of the evening. He'll be super pleased with that. Of course, McIntyre a little bit under the radar in second. Sutton not under the radar as always. Yeah, certainly 29 positions gained for him. And of course, yeah, Hadfield, the top AM driver out there, really impressive. And yeah, whilst he was a little bit feisty out there, he fully deserved that 7th place. And of course, if it weren't for Paul Smith, maybe he'll be thinking they could have got a podium as well. But he's got to be pleased. That's a mortal driver.
Yeah, it was frantic racing as always from these guys, and it was good to see the talent making its way through, really. I mean, all these guys are talented. They're all quick. They're all better than I will ever be. And yeah, it's just nice to see that spread, and everyone have a really good scrap, to be honest. There was some really fierce battles in that, most notably, obviously, Hadfield and Smith. That'll go down as one of the hardest battles I think I've seen since I've been commentating. And it's just a shame to see how it ended for Paul, but these incidents happen when you're racing so closely, I suppose. And on a track like Suzuka, where there's so many different, well, there's not many different racing lines, sorry, through different corners, it is difficult to keep you cool and obviously avoid contact. I mean, in terms of incident points, I don't think there's anyone with a 0 in that race. Just having a quick scan down, it doesn't seem like that's the case. Now, Max Wright had 14, William Daniels had 11. The only other guy with double figures, actually, and that one was George Simmons. So they don't get a massive amount of incident points, of course. So they do all right, really, considering.
Yeah, absolutely. That was possibly the cleanest race out there for actually the drivers. And we can now go through the results. We were having some issues because Max Wright, I don't think, finished the race. So he had to just pause a little bit. But Sven Glatzel took away the race victory. 5 seconds clear of Jack McIntyre in the end. 11.5 seconds off the lead. Rare that you see a gap like that between first and third. But what an effort there from Ashley Sutton in third. There's Jack Cedric. Alex Simpson, good day for him. Diego Mel, good day for him as well in 6th. Adam Hadfield, there's Josh Thompson, Stephen Baxter, and George Simmons rounding out the top 10. Behind that, it was Stevens, Stuart Widovic, Laidler, Harrod, Rushworth, Hall, Brown, Davies, Blake, Cunniff, Malcolm, Funt, Daniels. There's Mark Johnson, 24th. Behind that was Woodhouse, McFarlane, Wrights, Deemer, Smith, Woods, Graham, McNally, Sakovic. Foggy, of course, had that retirement into the wall. A little bit odd, that one. Then was Blackhall, who was kind of in a transfer to showdown. Certainly not anymore, unfortunately. Then was McFadden. And Rose rounding out the 37-car field.
Really good to see that the large grids have also continued towards the end of the season as well. That's the sort of proof in the pudding that it's a good championship, because a lot of series you do see where the numbers drop as you go further and further on. But don't forget, this has been going on all year, as we see Sven Glatzel in the background going through the alternative pit lane. But yeah, this has been going on all year, and these guys have been putting in a lot of effort week in, week out. So it's been fantastic to see it, and I'm really looking forward to watching the showdown. We've got a couple of guys waiting for interviews with us. We'll have just a quick check of who we've got. We'll first bring up always a pleasure to speak to Mr. Rusty Laidler. Rusty, how do you feel your night went tonight?
I'm a bit hot and sweaty now.
I bet you are. It was a bit frantic out there all evening. Did you get involved in enough battles to sort of please your appetite, let's say?
When don't I?
That's
no,
true.
I was just, to be fair, I was just trying to stay out of trouble the whole night. I could not match McNally for pace, I have to admit. Hats off to Adam. That qualifying lap that he put in was absolutely unreal. And to hold on to that pace all race one and take the AM win in that race was quality. But I could see him in race 3 and he didn't look very comfortable. And he was constantly being attacked by his teammates. So you know when you can just see someone's a little bit nervous, a little bit on edge?
Yeah.
I was just trying, every time I got near his back bumper, someone then had a go at me. So it was, I was looking forward to a good battle, but I think he got DQ'd by someone else. I don't know. I saw him go sideways, and you know me. There's a little gap. I don't need to invite you twice, and I was straight in there. Then I didn't see him again.
That's very, very true. Well, you obviously gained quite a few places in all the races. Obviously, there was a nice finish in race 2 for the CQR team. Was the chat erupting with happiness at that point?
Yeah, they were pretty happy, to be honest. Oh, I'm gonna say I'm getting accused of taking someone out.
Oh.
Yeah, why not?
It happens to the best of us, I think.
I know.
But,
no,
sorry.
yeah, it was a nice little lockout in race 2. It just the way things landed. So yeah, they were pretty chuffed, to be honest.
Good
But
times. And are you looking forward to the showdown? Is it sort of playing on your mind yet? Is there any sort of nerves going into it?
I think there always is, isn't there? You know, it's always in the back of your mind. I just need to kind of do what I've been doing all season long, I suppose. But, you know, touch wood, I kind of pull it off. The thing is, though, the AM class, it is so tight. You can't put a fag paper between any of us. And to be fair, I think the 8 that we've got going in the showdown, of the 8 that's in there, I think all 8 deserve to win it. But of all of them, I think I deserve it the most.
No bias at all, of course. But
No, totally no bias. You know, I'm looking at that through as straight edge as I can. No, I'll be honest. Like, there's a few guys that, like, if Mark Woodhouse, Chris Wood, if they beat me, fair. You know, what I mean, I'll be just as happy for them as if I were to win it. If that makes any sense. I've had some cracking battles with them all season long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. Team comes first.
That's fair enough. Well, we hope that it obviously goes well for you, and hopefully it goes well for the team as well. Just getting word as well, sorry if I'm stumbling my words a little bit. We've got the showdown standings being sent over to us at the moment. Just trying to make sense of it, if I'm honest with you. I've just got a spreadsheet open on my phone of it all. But before you go, Rusty, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, just all the boys in CQR. Sorry, my brain is absolutely mush today. Yeah, but all the boys in CQR, because they're the ones that have been keeping me going all season long. The amount of times I've like wanted to walk away and be done with it, but they've kept me going, and it's, you know, it's kind of coming to fruition now. I'm in the chance with something that I've never been in a chance with before, and yeah, and all the boys for some cracking racing, and you guys for the broadcast. Because are you on your own?
I'm not. I have
I'm here.
Mr.
That's all right then.
then.
So I'm just lurking in the corner there.
He does that on Facebook chats as well.
Yeah, I've heard about that in street corners as well.
Oh no.
How do you know?
I get around, mate.
Well, on that note, it's been good to speak to you, Rusty, and
Yeah, you two guys.
from all of us at Apex as well, we wish you the best of luck in the broadcast. There we go. That's how
In the broadcast, have you offered me a job, are you?
well. We'll have some talks. All the best in the showdown, mate. Nice one.
See you later, mate. Try it.
Rusty Laidler there. Always a good point of entertainment. Who do you reckon we should bring up next, Sam?
Oh, as I quickly check to see who the options are. I guess Alex Simpson, seeing as he won race 1, I guess we should have a chat with him.
Just bring him up now. Sorry. There we go. And here he is, Alex Simpson. I'll leave you in the capable hands of Sam Fitzpatrick.
Yes, and Alex, well done out there. That was a very good race 1. Really good qualifying, which kind of put you in the right shape. And of course, it's so close out there in qualifying. Was that a particularly good lap which enabled you to get on the front row?
Yeah, it was a good lap. Dead chuffed with that. just got the right slipstream off my teammate really. I felt confident after the first lap. It was not a great lap, and there was loads of time in it, and it was still sort of top 10. So felt like if I could get a good one in the second run, it'd be right up there. So yeah, happy to lock out the front row.
And yeah, definitely. And of course, later on in that race, I think it was Wojciech as well in second place. Were there any kind of team games between you two? Maybe him just holding up the drives behind a little bit, or were you both kind of just racing flat out to try to, if anything, pull out a little bit of a gap over the likes of Foggy?
Well, certainly I was going flat out. I'm not sure about Wojciech so much. I think, you know, he was certainly pushing, but I think he still had a little bit more in the tank. I feel like he was sort of trying to manage the 1-2 a little bit. Had we had a battle, I think it'd have been quite interesting, and certainly we would have given up the 1-2 if we had started battling, because it's so easy when you're just offline that, you know, the guys behind, Foggy's so quick, so's Ross as well. They'd have just snuck through one of them at the same time, definitely would have had a run. So there was no team orders or anything like that, though. So, yeah. For that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of races 2 and 3 were just recovery drives, really. The reverse grids, well, due to the fact that you finished so high up, the reverse grids kind of went against you. But you were involved in very few incidents today, which must be quite a relief because, you know, it's very easy to get involved in crashes, and we certainly saw that today. But you seem to keep your nose clean a lot out there.
But yeah, there was a lot of hard racing out there. That was good, and you know, I was rubbing people, and they were rubbing me, and yeah, we all had a jolly good time. But no, in fairness, there was some there was some hard racing out there, and so yeah, apologies for. I think Martin, I was just a little bit rough with going into a 130R. I think my teammate just gave me a little push, just got me slightly offline, and but yeah, for the most part, it was really, really good racing actually. You know, no massive sort of like quarter panels or anything like that. So a few scary moments. Obviously, the one with Foggy in race 3, which I'm just seeing now on a screen, a bit delayed. And then I think it might have been Adam Hadfield tried to outbrake me into turn 1. I don't know where he ended up, but it went in Japan.
Well, of course, going into the showdown now, you've already told me how you're going to, you know, up your work rate a little bit. It's all about, you know, claiming that title now. There's not really anything else to aim for. It's pretty much all your effort into it now to try to get that championship win. Yeah,
I was certainly going to ramp up the practice a little bit. I mean, I did a couple of sessions going into this one, so that's way more than I've done. Tonight was a bit frustrating because I had a Windows update as I turned on, and then after that I had the iRacing update, and then the Windows update updated my graphics card in the middle of the session, and I got booted from it. So yeah, I spent the first 45 minutes of the night just trying to fix the graphics glitch because I couldn't get spanning to work, so my triples had died. So I was like, oh, am I even going to get a race? I think in practice I managed to get 2 laps in before qualifying. So I was a bit sort of off rhythm a little bit. So, but maybe I should do that more often because it paid out to me.
Yeah, it certainly did. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, just to you guys, not Marco, because he didn't spin the wheel in my favour at all. So we'll have words later, mister. Yeah, just to all the sponsors and the whole team, really. So, you know, the teamwork that does it out there as well. So great communication between the guys today. We could have had a couple of scary situations, but we got out of it and sort of helped each other out where we needed to. So it's awesome stuff.
Thanks, Alex, and we'll see you later in the week, I guess.
Yeah, thank you.
Cracking speak to Alex as always, and just looking now, I've just thought I'd take a second to quickly go through the showdown standings. I don't believe we have any graphics for it on screen at the moment, but we can just quickly rattle off who is involved then, as it has been calculated and sent over to me. We'll go sort of in reverse order here. So in the AMS teams for the showdown, we have Team Mad and Northern Lights Racing Scuderia Haggis, with the wild card in that being Simortal. So 3 very strong teams with a good spread of drivers there. And in the pro teams, it's unsurprisingly CQR, especially after a result like that tonight. Northern Lights GT Omega, so they've got a team in both showdowns. Apex Racing are up there as well in 3rd, with the wildcard being CQR Academy as well. So even more support for the CQR guys in that. And in the AM showdown then, we have Russell Laidley, we just spoke to, Adam McNally, Adam Hadfield, who was on fire tonight, really fierce on track. Chris Wood, Majek Sakovic, Mark Johnston, Michael Blake, who we'll speak to in just a second, and Mark Woodhouse. The two wildcards there are Daniel Brown and, well, it says Mark Johnston. He's actually in there twice, so I'm not quite sure how that's been calculated. And then in the big one, then the Pro Showdown, Wojciech Savidovic and Nickel Foggy, unsurprisingly, in there, with Jack Sedgwick, Dave Baker, Steve Baxter, our very own Alex Simpson, Pete Harrod, Jamie Rushworth, Ross McFarlane, Kip Stevens. It does say Russell Lader and Mark Woodhouse, which I'm not quite sure is correct, actually. Ash Sutton, Sven Glatzel, and Colin Cunniff have been thrown in there too as the wild cards. So when you listen to that list, really, it's a hell of a scary spread of drivers and a lot of talent, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just looking forward to the rest of this season, really. Not sure how many rounds is it. It's like 6 or 5?
I believe it's 5.
Okay, 5 rounds. And it's proper intense now. Whilst the rest of the season, arguably, kind of for the absolute top drivers, kind of dwindles a little bit because, you know, they're going to qualify anyway. Now it's all about, you know, raising that intensity and, yeah, getting absolutely everything you can from every single race. Hopefully, we maybe see a little bit of an underdog performance, maybe a couple of the front runners having a few issues. But it's just going to be so close. It's impossible to call right now. And I think the wildcard entries as well are going to make it even better as well, both the Pro and the Club.
It certainly will be. And as the final sort of item for the evening before we go, we've brought Michael Blake into the booth. Michael, welcome. Michael, of course, from Simortal, who we are doing a rather special spinny wheel for tonight, as I'm sure Marco is very excited to do. Michael, if you want to just sort of have a quick explanation to what's going on, if that's all right.
It's the prize draw wheel for the raffle we try to do once a month, where everybody can buy a raffle ticket for £1.50. And if you win, you get a 132 scale model made in the livery of your choice.
And if you've not seen these models before, you need to go and check out Michael's Facebook page, Simortal. Sponsors of the BSR Simortal Porsche Cup, of course, and the well, very sort of strong racing team in many of the series that you do see across BSR and iRacing. But check out his page, man. Honestly, the models and the quality of everything he does is absolutely outstanding. He actually had a Subaru Levorg that he made himself. It's an amazing little bit of kit, and it was actually signed by Ash Sutton as well. And when you see it in the flesh, it's outstanding. So I'm pretty sure, with a lot of excitement, we should have a Marco Barbanera with a wheel on hand at some point. Marco, have you got the massive wheel ready?
Yes, it is in front of me, and if you give me the all go, I will roll it.
It's on you, Michael.
Okay.
Go for it.
Let's roll it then, let's see. Very long spin. 34. 34 is the winning number.
Just check the list. Number 34. .34 is an unsold ticket.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh no! Well, that's thrown it into the mix then a little bit.
Let me just double check. Yeah, 34 is an unsold ticket. We'll have to spin it again.
Wow,
Okay, well,
fantastic.
Oh, Marco's going to be very happy. Yeah, you've just made an Italian man extremely happy tonight, Michael.
Oh man, let's roll it again then.
And we'll be back in about 45 minutes.
Okay, the new number is 23. 23.
Oh my god, that is another of the unsold tickets.
I can spin the wheel all night long if you want, so let's roll it again then. 65, 65.
Is Ronald Moons.
There you go, Ronald Moons. You are now the, well, not quite yet, the owner of a 132nd model made by Michael in the livery of your choice. So I'm sure just get in touch with Michael via Facebook, would you say is the best method, Michael?
Yeah, just send me a PM on there.
So if you get in touch with Michael, then he will, well, for lack of better phrasing, sort you out, mate. So thanks very much for joining us, Michael. Thanks very much, obviously, for offering up such a great prize and obviously getting involved with the fantastic community we've got here. We really appreciate it, and it's great to speak to you. Just quickly as well, I mean, how do you feel your night went tonight?
I made mistake after mistake. I jumped the start in the first race by selecting first gear without putting the clutch down. Missed the reverse grid by 2 places. Did okay in race 2, and then race 3 started 8th and got the world's biggest net code on lap 1 and went straight on. And had to drop to last, but climb back up into the 20s.
So we bit of an unfortunate one. It's one of those nights that just doesn't quite line up for you. Are you excited? Obviously, getting involved with the showdown. I mean, I understand if you're not in. Are you in the running for that one? You are actually, aren't you?
Oh, my damn!
You are.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, for some reason I was just looking back at the list then, and I just missed it. But yeah, are you looking forward to that? Are you nervous going into it? How do you feel?
Not really nervous. I'm not really expecting to make it all the way to the final or be in any real contention. I'm just going to give it my best shot and see where we end up, and hopefully get something out of it as a team, if we can.
Yeah, obviously you've got the team am as well to think about. So hopefully, I mean, you've got a lot of strong boys out there. We noticed that Adam Hadfield was having a right old ding dong with Paul Smith tonight. That's going. I was saying before, it's going to go down as one of my favourite battles that I've seen for a while in this Kia. Are you hoping that? Well, I'm pretty sure that they'll all represent quite strongly. Well, with the confidence you've got, obviously going into it, is there much work you need to do? You reckon with the car to sort of get it dialed in, or have you pretty much got it sussed by now?
Just try and keep it out of other people's cars, and not get penalties.
It's a very good tactic indeed. Well, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, Michael. Obviously, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to before you go tonight, mate?
You guys for the broadcast as always, BSR and the admins for everything they do, and Drive Doctors and Go Kart World for sponsoring the Immortal team.
Smashing stuff. Well, thanks very much, mate. Great to speak to you, and hopefully we'll see you succeeding in the showdown in 2 weeks' time.
I'll try. Take care, guys.
Cheers. Michael Blake there, absolute star. Obviously the director of Immortal, and yeah, if you, like I said, if you've not seen his models before, go check Immortal out on Facebook. It's unbelievable the work he does. You just to see an iRacing car in the flesh and in a small scale as well, and even some of them work as scale electric cars. It's fascinating. Have you ever seen any of them in person, Sam?
I actually haven't, to be honest, but I've seen a few photos of them, and they are absolutely superb. Might even get myself one. So yeah, absolutely check them out. It's quite a unique product as well, and certainly for a sim racer with Christmas coming up as well. You know, it's a great time to be checking that out. Yes, Christmas is coming. It is still 2 and a bit months away, but it will come about very soon. But yeah, certainly do check out Immortal and their website.
Well, we're going to have to go and calm down a rather excited Italian man because he got to spin a wheel a few times. We're going to go and douse him with water, and we will join you in 2 weeks' time then for what will be the start of the BSRTC Pro Series Showdown. It's bound to be an absolute fireworks show of just mental racing, really exciting action, and of course it's going to be very tense all the way throughout. So from myself and Sam and Marco on the cameras tonight, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time.